Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself up a ringside seat, your soda, your popcorn, your whiskey, get everything you need. We are having a resurrection, sir.
Well, last week you tried to kill WrestleMania, and I refused to let it happen. I said we will not.
We are resurrecting WrestleMania here in today's episode.
We will not lose WrestleMania going forward here. We weren't the only ones. Apparently, a lot of podcasters and YouTube channels and all, a lot of people had the idea that WrestleMania was dying off. And I said, no.
He said, nay.
No.
Nay, I say.
What we're not going to do tonight is let WrestleMania come to an end. We are going to take it upon ourselves to resurrect it. We're going to save WrestleMania.
All of you stand-up comedian fans out there, if you've not seen John Panay and the Oh Nay, I encourage you to give that bit a watch. It's
there
a good
you go.
One. All right. Hey, we even got a special guest in the house today.
Yeah, we do.
He's Shaggy.
So what we got to do is when we're getting our whiskey, you got to get your dog treats.
You got your dog treats.
Got to get your water bowl.
Yeah, you got to get the green beans.
Got to get your dinner bowl. Got to get all that together.
We got Nugget in the house today.
Got the dog father in here. He's here to keep an eye on things. That's our producer. Y'all have been wanting to hear from our producer, so you might hear from him throughout the show. So please give us grace.
All right, let's toss a shout out to our sponsor real quick. We got Uncle Near's Cognac cask.
Limited edition.
We done gone with fancy.
Limited edition.
We fancy.
That you gotta have favors for that. You don't just wander in and pick that up. You gotta call in some favors for that.
We went fancy, 121 proof.
Yeah, and we went heavy. So not only did we go fancy, but we also went heavy.
As the Beatles says, she's so heavy.
Yeah.
Cheers, sir.
All right.
Ooh,
that one's got some heat to it.
That is interesting. I'm gonna go in for another sip.
All right. Well, look at that. Double dipping right off the bat.
You get the cognac on the back end.
Yeah, you could definitely taste it, and then it's still in my mouth.
The whiskey's in the front.
Yeah. No, it's
the
in my throat.
Cognac's on the finish, but man, it's sweet.
Yeah, no, the heat of the whiskey's in my throat and nose right now.
It's almost like pancake syrup sweet.
No, I didn't get that. I didn't get it that much sweet. Hold on, maybe I need to go back to there.
You know it's good when you take a double.
Oh, there's the heat again. that didn't miss me. I do taste the flavor. You can definitely taste the cognac in it. You definitely taste the cognac in it. That's what stays in your mouth after.
That's a good sipper, as they would say.
Yeah, slow sipper.
Yep.
For the cost of it, it'll damn sure we may not have this sponsor again. It may be gone for a while. That's what do they age them? 10 years or what? That might age 10 years here. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, we're going to talk about WrestleMania being resurrected, but before we get to our main topic, we got a few things we need to discuss before we get on into the episode here. Mr. Seth freaking Rollins has been back on our TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And
finally interesting, too. And finally something that I can actually grab onto.
Got out of Becky's wardrobe. Congratulations.
Luckily, since his most recent return, that kind of went away. I think he's trying to be more serious. So.
Well, he looked like he just stepped into the wardrobe of John Wick. That's kind of what he looks like now.
I mean, now he's that crazy loner. Before he always had, somebody surrounding him. He had his back covered. Now he's kind of on his own. He's got to get all that craziness and all that.
Even the Street Prophet said this ain't that.
No, they let him know too. I mean,
Street Prophet said no. We ain't with you.
Yeah. I mean, so they're making sure to position him as a loner right now. They're getting ready to get started, but that's good. I mean, he hadn't been a loner in a while, right?
But they're also teasing the position of Braun Breaker being a loner.
Yeah.
Have you seen him come back out with the Vision outside of when he got the chair whacked in the back of the head?
Not with the Vision, but I noticed the Wise Man stays close to that young uprising talent. Somehow or another, that guy always seems to find a way, doesn't he?
We went from Brock Lesnar to Braun Breaker.
That guy finds a way, doesn't he? If there's a talent that's up and coming, somehow or another, Heyman finds a way to hitch his wagon until
the Leech.
Quick.
The Leech. Yeah. Or as JR once called him, the hemorrhoid on the asshole of life.
There you go. I lovingly refer to him as the Walrus.
The Walrus. Yeah. Look, I have a Paul Heyman guy shirt. I love Paul. Even though his whining and bitching and moaning can get on your nerves sometimes, he don't tell lies.
No, I mean, even when he's doing his promos, he tells you this ain't
the truth.
Yeah, he tells you flat out. This ain't a promo. This ain't I'm not just out here talking.
It's a spoiler.
Yeah, this is an actual spoiler. I'm letting you know this is what we've got working in the back. How we get to there though, that's still a mystery.
So we got Seth and Braun Breaker in
WrestleMania Throwdown.
Yeah, WrestleMania Throwdown. It should have been.
It damn sure should have been. Because it's actually got me intrigued now, and I wasn't intrigued in his match at Mania.
We got both of them in the pressure cooker right now. The promo that fell out from Monday Night Raw, I know the fans weren't really paying attention, and sometimes crowds can just gloss over promos if they're not really hanging on every word. There were some things thrown about in that promo though that were really eye-opening.
Yeah. They made a lot of ominous mentions in there,
especially when he referred to Braun as Baby Steiner.
I mean, repeatedly, right? He didn't do it just once. Yeah. He definitely mentioned Steiner more than once.
And then he told him that you're not even number 2 in that family.
that is what he said, but. Now, that's kind of hypocritical for Seth because when other people have told him that he is number 2 in his family, he gets awful butthurt about that. So now he finally gets to throw it in somebody else. But
when the man comes around, Seth is number 2.
Let's talk about it. I mean, hell, at this stage, we're dealing with 2 B+ players right now because there's A+ players in their households, and we ain't trying to get into that. So,
the story that they're building between these two, they're building the hey. I never needed you. Seth was like, I recruited you. And then Braun's like, I didn't need you. I needed him. And him referring to Paul.
Yeah.
I needed him.
Well, that's why I say I don't know about Braun being too lone wolfish because he's smart enough to keep one guy around.
I will say this. To get these guys both in a match, these dudes could take the match and read the phone book for all I care. It's still going to be an entertaining match.
Absolutely.
These two guys are going to put on a show. I love the fact, though, that they've not had a lot of time. Unfortunately, there was only 2 weeks between Mania and Backlash.
Yeah, we're flowing. We're good to go.
So they've had to hot shot the angle. But
which is why they didn't have it at Mania because they said they would have to hot shot it to do it. And I'm like, well, hell, you got 3 weeks on the other side of it. You had 3 weeks going into it, but for safety and health reasons, I get it.
Yeah, but then Braun got cracked in the back of the head with that steel chair. Now he's got staples.
Well, so that was a receipt.
Yeah, that was
apparently,
a receipt.
As we didn't know going into it because we would think, oh, that's an accident, but we came to find out that was a receipt. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's a good way to play into it. I like that.
And then Braun even told Seth Monday night, he said, look, your shoulder can't even hold a strap anymore without breaking.
Dude, when he said that, I legit popped because he was like, yeah, your shoulder can't even hold the strap no more. And when he said it, did you see Seth's face when he said, because Seth took it and he was like, okay.
Seth tried not to crack.
Yeah, he was
about to crack. He was about to crack.
That's when I think the whole Baby Steiner thing came out. I think some of that was ad-lib because when he heard that line, I don't think he was necessarily prepared for that.
That kind of sent him into a tailspin a little bit.
Yeah. But that's a Paul Heyman special right there. Nobody told him that in the back besides Paul. Yeah. Paul thought that one up, fed that one right to Braun Breaker, and Braun delivered it in a way that Seth was like, oh, all right, we stepped up a little bit.
I will say this. I will say this. The only criticism that I had coming out of that promo that fell out on Monday night, the only criticism that I had, Braun, relax, brother. You're good on the mic. That boy's hands were shaking like a leaf on a tree.
Wasn't it though? Yeah,
he was nervous as all hell.
What he needed was a shot of that Uncle Nearest cognac cast.
Yes, he did.
And he had a little bit of that before he went out there. He'd have been smooth as could be. He'd have been smooth as ice. But yeah, when he was up there giving it, I mean, he looked like an old man.
I was like, damn, he got Parkinson's?
He looked like an old man up there. And I was like, wait a minute, where's that guy? I mean, I get it. You want to be intense and all that, but hell, sometimes you gotta holler if you hear me.
We get you if you're intense. We get you. But at the same time, it's okay, brother. We respect your work. Just chill out, calm down. We all interested in what you're doing. Don't get too nervous about it and to where you start stumbling and blowing promos and stuff. But he held his own last night.
Yeah, he definitely did. But I mean, stumbling and blowing your promos, that's kind of like a Steiner, that's a hand-me-down thing.
That's a rite of passage.
Yeah, I was going to say that's par for the course with that. I mean, because God forbid he start doing math out there. Because holy hell.
Oh, he's already did the math though.
Yeah, unfortunately he did. But if he starts doing real, like in this feud where we can actually laugh at it, no, we don't want to do that. Man. Let's not break out the Steiner math.
So we're gonna get that match at Backlash. Definitely gonna be a good match. I'm excited to see how it all going to break down. Do I think it is the finale between those two? Hell no. This is just beginning.
No, absolutely.
Do I think there's going to be a clean winner? No, I don't. I think that Braun,
this is going to be a mess.
Yeah, Braun's probably going to win. Probably some interference with either the Vision or somebody else. But at the same time,
Bronson Reed was right. So they made mention of Bronson Reed. I still think that's the core of this feud, right? The core of this feud is Seth, Bronson, and Braun.
Yeah.
The other two guys, whatever, right?
They're fodder.
Exactly. I mean, it works for them to be the tag team thing. And I guess if Paul Heyman gets to link up with Logan Paul and then Austin Theory gets a rub out of all that, I guess it works if you're looking at it that way. But when I think of the Vision and I'm thinking of a feud between the former Vision members, I'm only thinking of those three guys.
They need to let the Vision just be the tag team right now.
I mean, essentially, they are. Let's talk about it. Like you didn't hear Braun Breaker talking about how he's so involved with the Vision and all that.
He didn't come out in Vision colors.
No, he flat out said, "This guy, I needed that guy. That was it." So
he don't even have the Vision entrance on the Tron.
He's doing his own thing at this point, and I'm good with that. Let him and Paul do their own thing. If Paul separates from the other guys, let them still be the Vision because they need a name, whatever. But the focus right now is Seth and Braun Breaker. When Bronson Reed comes back, insert him into that. The three of them, that's all I need.
All right. Let's talk about another feud that has gotten hot and heavy and is also going to have their first kind of match at Backlash. Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu.
Well, I can remember when the new bloodline was coming in and the old bloodline was breaking down. Boy, that was one of the feuds that we were super excited about.
So there is some intrigue and some kind of confusion for me building in this match.
You're trying to figure out how all them jokers are related, aren't you?
Yeah.
But what you got to do, you got to get that Rock family tree that had up there. Yeah, you need that because you ain't just going to math that out. Yeah.
So Jacob comes out there and Jacob says, I need that.
Yeah.
I need the belt. I need the fame. I need the fortune. I need the money for my kids and for school. I need all of this.
I ain't mad at that.
And then Roman says, okay, well, you think about it. And if we get there, then one or two things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. You're either going to take it or you're going to acknowledge me.
Yeah.
Okay. So we waited a week.
We didn't need to. Though.
We didn't need to, but we waited.
Jacob told you. He said, I didn't need to wait through the night.
I didn't need a week.
Yeah, I mean, he could have told him right then. When he matter of fact, he did tell him right then. He said when he told him think about it, Jacob could have told him I did. That's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here.
Right, I'm calling you out, homeboy.
So we get to the promo last night. We get to it again. So first off, Roman is kicking off the episode with Jimmy and Jay at each side, kind of at the table.
Yeah,
having a discussion. I equated that scene to you got the angel on the right shoulder or the angel on the left shoulder, devil on the right shoulder, because Jimmy was trying to say hey this, that, and the other, and then Jay was like no, this dude's dangerous.
Yeah,
you either take him or he takes everything.
Yeah.
So Jay was kind of putting it out there for real for Roman. I mean, Roman kind of understood that, but then when Jacob and Roman got in the ring and started talking this thing through, I noticed a couple things changed. It almost seemed like Jacob, he don't give a damn about that tribal chief moniker.
No, so
he don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, but if you're looking at his character, there's no way that wouldn't be a him thing anyway. He's not a group leader. I mean, he's definitely, he's a lone wolf as is, but as we discussed last week, that's Baron Corbin, so we can't call him a lone wolf, so he's just got to be a werewolf.
He's the lone werewolf.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as leading a faction and all that, that's never going to be a Jacob Fatu thing. That's nowhere near what his character should be.
So if this thing kind of goes down at Backlash, honestly booking this thing, you can't hot shot a title switch already off of Roman.
Oh no, absolutely.
That would be like
there's zero chance
weird.
of that happening.
That's just that's not going to happen. But why angle this up now? Because Roman gave Jacob his match at the end of Monday night, but he never said anything about the acknowledge me thing again. It's almost like, it was almost like, look, if you lose, you're going to be my lackey. You're going to be my boy.
Yeah.
But it's like it changed.
Well, so
did they drop that angle? What happened?
So I think the way that Roman got put down, at the end of Raw, with the tongue and death grip, I don't think there was an opportunity for him to have anything else to say short of I'll accept the match. We've still got another Raw to go before we get to the match, so there's time to clean that up. There's time to put whatever outside stip you want to on there. There's time to figure all that out. But I don't see this being their only match. I think they're going to try and run this thing through the summer. They're not flipping the title in there anywhere, but if you can milk 2 or 3 matches out of this whole resurgence of the bloodline deal, hey, who else is Roman going to face this summer?
All right, so how do we get out of this then if Jacob goes down in the first match?
Yeah.
Where do we go? How do we get a second match justifiable when Roman already beat him in the first?
Who's to say he loses? I mean, there doesn't have to be a winner. There doesn't have to be anything. There could be...
Oh, we talking about a DQ finish?
I mean, we could have we've already seen these 2 guys brawl, and nobody ran out to stop them. Like, you notice whenever 2 other people touch... Like, you can have Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. When them 2 start grappling in the ring, for some odd reason, all the male referees and all the male staff run out there immediately and start pulling those girls apart.
Now, tell the truth. You would do that too. Tell the truth.
I'd have been out there when they started. I'd have been the one holding the microphone. I'd have witnessed every second of it.
You'd have been Wade Barrett in the ring.
Absolutely. I'd have been right there. I would have negotiated. I would have narrated that whole thing. I'd have been like, yeah. But I mean, like Jason Jordan, right? We talked about him. Jason Jordan with his neck issues and all that, he never gets physical, right?
Right.
2 guys are fighting. He don't even get in the middle of them. He stands to the side and holds a hand out and says, no, you stay back, because he could get injured. Mm-hmm. But yet somehow another one, Liv and Stephanie were rolling around in there. Jason Jordan right in the middle of it, pulling them apart. And I'm like, that neck ain't hurting that bad right now. It seems like his neck was a little stiff. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, you notice when this happened, though, this is family stuff. Nobody ran out there to stop that.
No, so that's another thing that I kind of noticed too. So, on SmackDown, Jacob, got himself into a match, and the Usos was like, "Hey, all right, we'll have you back," because solo fight's dirty. We'll have you back. He was like, "Nah, I don't want you. Like, I don't need you." So Jacob gets in there. Here come the MFTs. Jimmy and Jay standing at the top of the ramp. And then Jacob proceeds to beat down every single member of the MFT.
Yeah.
Without
he
Jimmy
proved
and Jay.
what he said. He stood his ground.
So if I'm sitting there and I'm Jimmy and Jay, I'm looking at this like, okay, I ain't getting in the middle of either one of these 2 dudes. Like, if Roman and Jacob tie up, I ain't getting in the middle of it.
No, it is what it is on that. That's why it's family business at this point now. When you were growing up with your cousins, your brothers, whatever you had out there, those of you who are listening, when y'all started scrapping, usually your parents, they let y'all scrap a little bit.
Yeah.
They're like, sometimes you just got to let kids be kids. You got to let them get it out. Now, when it started getting to be too much, that's when they come in there and break it up. So there's no saying that Jimmy and Jay won't eventually have to step in and say, hey, this is going too far. This is getting out of hand, blah, blah, blah. But at this point right now, I mean, we're just finally getting to where, we're finally figuring out the beef. We're seeing what's happening here.
Yep.
So, you got to let them go at it for a minute, but I don't think it goes out of hand without Jimmy and Jay finding their way involved with it. And I think that might be how the Backlash match goes. I think, it might just turn into a pure brawl, a pull apart, and
Jimmy
essentially
and Jay's trying to separate.
Yeah, and they got to come in there and separate it. Everybody cut, and then they just throw the match out because you can't, like you said, you're definitely not going to flip the title now. I mean, We've waited 2 years, for Roman to be back on top. We're not going to get it for 3 weeks and then he go back off to the mid card. So Netflix would literally cancel the contract. You think they cut the show off early a couple of weeks ago?
Plus Roman's got them J's to kind of
they're coming out in a few weeks. So I mean, he had them on. Did you notice he had them on this week? He had the Bloodline 12s on. So those come out right in line with my birthday. So if anybody out there is looking to find something to send into the show or whatnot,
there you go.
Go ahead and feel free to send those in 10 and a half, 11, whichever one you can get a hold of. Either way, I can make them fit. But yeah, no, nonetheless, I mean, I feel like, again, you're not taking the title off Roman, but you're not burying, Jacob. He's definitely taking a spear and laying down for the 1, 2, 3. Otherwise, that whole angle's dead. If I'm Roman, I don't even want him to acknowledge me at that point. If you just lay down and die in the very first match, So there's got to be a schmozz fit, and it's Backlash. I mean, nobody comes out of Backlash as a dominant winner, loser in any feud.
So they'll go from Backlash, I believe, to Clash in Paris.
Yeah.
Or Clash in Italy, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's whatever the overseas. I know the next one after this one's overseas. So
it'd be interesting to see where that feud goes. I like Roman. I like the fact that they put the belt back on him. I love the tribal chief thing. I love he's back, head of the table, all of that good jazz. I love it. But Jacob's my boy. I like Jacob Fatu. I'm a huge Jacob Fatu fan. I'm kind of torn on this one. I don't know how I want to see it go. There's a little piece of me that eventually wants to see Jacob go over, but not right now. It's too early.
Yeah, definitely not now.
It's too early.
I mean, I don't know. So while I do like Jacob, I'm just not 100% sure he's going to be the guy to dethrone Roman. And we've talked about this before on many levels. We talked about it with Cody. We've talked about it with Punk. We've talked about it ad nauseum at this point. But Roman's on a different level at this point.
He is.
Than most other performers in WWE. So for him to get knocked off, it's got to mean something.
So let me ask you this. I know we got to get to our main topic, but let me ask you this. Are we seeing Jacob in this spot challenging Roman because maybe it should have been somebody else?
I mean, it could be a precursor to somebody else.
Maybe it should have been the Yeet Man, and the Yeet Man couldn't hold the line.
Could be.
And they had to go with Jacob instead. Could that be what's going on?
So the last few months, I noticed the Yeet thing ain't had as much steam as it had a year ago. So now, granted, the way they're showcasing them, they tied them back up into a tag team, things like that. They're not, showcasing the whole Yeet thing, but I mean, everything gets old too, right? When your entrance is your gimmick, you're on borrowed time as is, right? So unfortunately, they tried it. It was an experiment. It may or may not have failed. They may or may not be able to get back to it. But Jacob, Jay had a shot. He had a shot. He did whatever he could do with it. You got to move over and let another guy also get a shot.
Big Jim had his shot too. Just ask Naomi.
I mean, apparently he took his shot too. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You see their little shorty in the car with Naomi the other day. But I mean, at this point now, the whole purpose of the Bloodline was to help elevate the family. It was,
right.
Jay got elevated. He became main event Jey Uso. He became world heavyweight champion.
True.
It's time for another guy to get a shot. Is it time for him to achieve his goal? Probably not. But you don't know unless you get him out there. So.
True. All right, let's move on to our main topic. WrestleMania Resurrected. How do we save Mania? If last week we were questioning, is WrestleMania dead? My partner over here, Frank, saying it ain't dead.
It ain't dead yet.
It ain't dead. So how are we going to resurrect the glorious feeling of WrestleMania?
Well,
let's talk about it.
We're going to. I was going to say we're going to have to talk it through. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and then we're going to see what we come up with and see if we get to the start off point together. We're going to see if we get to the jump off point at the same time. Okay. All right. So looking back throughout the course of history, when was the hottest time in wrestling in your lifetime?
In my lifetime?
Yeah.
The hottest time in wrestling?
Hottest time where the business was the biggest.
It has to be when WWE or WWF was going up against WCW.
Yeah, the Monday Night Wars,
Night Wars.
Yeah, so we had competition. We had healthy competition between two competing brands, right?
Right.
So our two biggest pay-per-views of the year now officially are WrestleMania and SummerSlam, right?
Correct.
How many nights do each of those shows run.
Now we're going 2 nights apiece.
We're going 2 nights apiece for both WrestleMania and SummerSlam, your 2 events of the year. So you put those 2 together, if you've got 2 nights and you're trying to get competition, I know people hate the brand split. I know WWE doesn't really stay true to the brand split, but I think they need to recreate competition between the 2 brands. They need to take SmackDown, they need to take Raw, they need to treat them as separate entities competing against each other to be the better show. And if you're going to run 2 nights of pay-per-views, you dedicate 1 night to Raw, you dedicate 1 night to SmackDown. That's the only way you're going to get the guys, the athletes, the competitors to try and one-up the other show. Right now, they're just trying to one-up each other, follow that or, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if you actually created brand loyalty where these guys are competing to be on the better show, you want your show to get the better contract, you're contracted to your show, then you would go out there and put on a match to be better than the other show. So instead of me trying to be, the best match of just Sunday night, well, no, I want to be better than the Raw match. If the Raw match, the best match Raw could put out is Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu, well, hell, over on the other side, I need to be better than that. I need to achieve something better than that. The problem is, and the reason I want them to do that is because SmackDown is starting to become an afterthought. Raw is starting to pull far away in the leaderboard as far as top show, to whereas 2 years ago when SmackDown was on Fox, nationally broadcasted show, they were the top show. They had the top stars. They were getting the top storylines. It was still coming off Friday night, so it came across funky. But that's what was happening. Well, now Netflix is the top dog. Netflix is paying the big contracts, so Netflix is able to get the Roman Reigns and the CM Punk and the blah, blah, blah. They're able to get all the talent now because they're the top paying brand. But the guys on SmackDown shouldn't be discounted because of that. They should be able to compete and show Netflix, hey, we're the better show. You want me on your show. You need me on your show because I'm outshining all your guys over there. That's how you get another guy to move up into the Roman Reigns territory when he's competing to get to the Roman Reigns territory. When he's just out there complacent, he's just wrestling the match that they give him, who cares? He's cashing a check. He doesn't have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. You got to recreate competition between the brands because we're not competing with AEW. That's a farce. That doesn't exist. And then no other companies out there are even worthy of this conversation. You have to create it somewhere internal. You have to get to a point where the guys are trying to better each other on some type of loyalty. And it can't just be one guy over the next guy. You need to make the shows compete against each other to be the best.
I hear you. But I'm not sure I'm sold. I think there are some questions that let's talk through and see how we can iron this stuff out.
All right, let's talk about
it. First question that pops in my head. How do you handle the Royal Rumble winner and Elimination Chamber winner if we have 1 night Raw, 1 night SmackDown?
So that's where trades, free agency, that kind of stuff comes up. But if you win the Rumble and you're able to choose whoever you want, if you're already on Raw and you choose the Raw champion, there's no problem, right? If you're already on SmackDown and you choose the SmackDown champion, there's no problem. If somehow or another you cross over, well, then there needs to be some kind of talent negotiation with that. If you're trying to make it real, obviously everyone knows they're still under the WWE umbrella, right? But if you're trying to make it real, then there's got to be negotiation in that somewhere. If the SmackDown guy, wins the Rumble and chooses the Raw guy, well, then maybe you put the guys that go in there for the Elimination Chamber, they need to be from SmackDown then. And they go over to Raw. That way there's some kind of talent exchange. There's got to be more to it to make it realistic. Otherwise, again, it's all just farce. That's why no one respects the brand split right now because WWE says, "Oh, we're brand split." And
I'm one of those. I don't respect the brand split. I don't think it's a thing.
Well, exactly. And like Obafemi came out last night, and he's on the Raw brand, and they are on Raw this week, and they did a contract signing. Signing to the Raw brand. Ethan Page signed to the Raw brand. What's all that mean if Ethan Page can pop up on SmackDown this Friday just because they're in Toronto or wherever? What's the point of having it if you're not going to honor it? But if you're going to have it, play into it. Use it for what it is. Make it like when a guy back in the 90s would jump from WWE to WCW or WWF at the time to WCW. That was huge. That was huge news. When Lex Luger popped up on the very first Monday Nitro, all conversation stopped about wrestling and only focused on that one thing. If you actually did the brand split the way it should be, that would be huge news. When Roman, who was a SmackDown competitor, offered or said he wanted to challenge CM Punk, that'd be almost like, a WWE. That'd be the equivalent of Bret Hart going to WCW.
So what if you do this? We're talking about trades, free agency, and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
What if we get the fans involved?
Okay.
What if Royal Rumble is not, I get to choose who I fight? What if the Royal Rumble is, you get a Mania title shot?
Okay.
Elimination Chamber, you don't get to choose who you fight. You get a Mania title shot.
Okay.
And then let the fans vote between the two winners of who faces what champion.
Well, that ain't bad. I mean, that's not a bad idea. The only thing with it is the integrity of it. Like, at the end of the day.
Like old Cyber Tuesday?
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, everybody's going to say, well, hell, me and 10 million of my fans or 10 million other people I talk to online, we voted for this to happen. Somehow or another, it went this way, though. Yeah, I just feel like now I know when they did certain draws, like, when the McMahon Millions and all that, I know they said that they actually had to have legal teams involved because if you advertise something like that, it does have to be legally done. But there's no way in saying you have to do that with a wrestling storyline. The
only reason why that, I'm kind of interjecting the fans into this, a lot of people are pissed off at TKO right now. A lot of people are, especially that thing that came out today, Mark Shapiro, what he said about Nick Khan and Triple H and the writing staff and the use of AI. To me, I'm old school. I'm for AI. I like the possibilities that AI would be able to help us achieve as a human race. But I also believe that if I'm 45 years old and I'm depending on AI to write an email for me, what have I done for my 45 years?
Yeah.
So that whole creative department and writing room and the bookers of wrestling, y'all should be able to creatively come up with storylines without using AI to say, here's what we're going to do.
You would think.
Okay. So instead of allowing all that mess to happen and the fans are feeling jaded because like, hey, we're not being heard, giving the fans some input into who faces what champion at WrestleMania, to me, that would give you some intrigue. And I understand what you're saying about the validity of it all. I totally get that. But that's the reason why I put the fans in there. But
well, I definitely agree with that. Another way you could do include the fans would be to let them vote after, if you do 2 nights of SummerSlam coming up here in August, you do 1 night of Raw, 1 night of SmackDown. They've got their WWE club now, all these people that have, involve those people. Those people have paid you to be on the inside. They've paid you to be a part of the inner circle, right? Put it to those people and say, hey, what night was better? What'd you like? What didn't you like? Put those results out there for public. Don't just show them on WWE.com where nobody sees it. Put that ish on Raw. Put that shit on SmackDown. And flat out tell the superstars on Raw or SmackDown, hey, the fans didn't buy your stuff. They didn't like your shtick. They like those guys' shtick. Make it to where the wrestlers are like, well, wait a minute. If the fans don't like what I'm doing, hell, I could get fired. I need to go out here and make sure that I'm doing the right thing by the fans. All to be damned by your by your creative. Once you get in the ring, that's up to the wrestlers. Creative's out the door at that point.
Speaking of getting fired, we didn't mention this at the beginning of the show.
Oh my God! How did we forget about that? We should have poured a little out for these friends.
We need to acknowledge.
We're not wasting this, so we're gonna pour it in our gullets.
We need to acknowledge the fact that there was 20-something wrestlers let go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and we ain't got time to mention everybody, but to those that were let go, look, keep trying, keep pushing your narrative, post on social media, get your stories out there. And just like many others have said before, Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, Matt Cardona, people like that, show up ready.
Yeah.
Show up, keep pushing. Look, just because you got let go doesn't mean the fans don't support you.
No, absolutely not. And the fans don't have to forget about you. It depends on what you do next.
So cheers to finding new roads and avenues.
All right.
All right.
Good luck to y'all out there.
Let's continue this discussion. One other thing that we need to kind of look at, a lot of the WrestleMania plans over the past 2 years have been derailed, as said, by injuries.
Yeah.
So if we are devoting one brand Raw, one brand SmackDown for one night of each, how do we secure that the matches are going to line up and make sense when injuries can and will happen?
Yeah.
And you don't wind up with Roman Reigns versus Kazawa because Kazawa was the only one healthy. How do we avoid that?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, as both Seth Rollins and Gunther found out this year, sometimes you don't, right? Sometimes there is no avoiding it because you're too far in. You're in too deep at this point, and there's no way out. But that's the whole purpose.
No way.
Yeah,
out.
there you go. But that's the whole purpose of, at least in my view, NXT, right? I mean, you've got a crop of guys that are itching to come up to the main roster. They're chomping at the bit to get up to the main roster. That's your break glass in emergency. And where you wander into Seth Rollins versus Gunther and everybody says, why? No, you wander into, well, how about, Gunther versus somebody from NXT or somebody does the open challenge. I mean, Obafemi just started an open challenge because they've got nobody that can contend with him now. After you beat Brock Lesnar, there's nowhere else to go but up, and there ain't that much farther to go than up. And he mentioned Roman because that's the next up, and WWE said, no.
Whoa, cowboy.
What we're not going to do is start that with that name.
Whoa, cowboy.
They said, we're going to do an open challenge.
Roman said, let's see how you handle the summer.
Yeah, they did. They told Oba, well, you're going to do some open challenge over the summer because we're pumping the brakes on that real quick. So that's the perfect opportunity, though. If somebody has to do something like that, even dating back to Seth when Cody appeared, Seth had an open challenge at Mania then. Why not have your top NXT guy be the guy to challenge? It's happened plenty before. Joe Hendry was a surprise opponent for Randy Orton a couple of years ago. This isn't out of the realm of possibility, but unfortunately, you're not gonna stray away from injuries in the type of business they're in. There's no way you can guarantee two competitors are going to be healthy going into Mania unless you put them in, in two bubble suits and just say, please don't leave your house.
That's true.
Please don't do anything, just.
Yeah, but I mean, in like Seth Rollins' case, as a producer of that match, you could have told Seth, hey, that spot you planning to do the coast to coast with the flying shoulder, we ain't doing that.
Yeah. I mean,
somebody could have told him that.
True, but you figure if they practice it, they do it good in practice, you're like, okay, he's got it. Well, then you go out there and one slip on the ropes and it's like, well, now it's all with the shit.
See, that's another story. Live events were practice, but now we don't have those.
Yeah, exactly. Now practice is a quick run through in the ring, at 10 o'clock in the morning, and everything looks good at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now after you've eaten catering and you just laid around.
The lights are on.
Yeah, now everything else is going against you, and then the ropes get a little sweaty and all that. Well, now all hell breaks loose.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's never going to be a way in a physical business to avoid injuries. You just have to be able to get around them a little bit smoother. But again, that's what your NXT talent's for.
So I know your idea. We've talked through some of the possibilities on some of the roadblocks and ways around things. I'm not totally dead set against it, but we are talking about resurrecting WrestleMania, right?
Yep.
So I look back at what made WrestleMania special back when I was a kid, what made it special to me.
Okay.
So what made it special to me, number one, first and foremost, was the glitz and glamour of it all.
Yeah.
You got the special entrances, the special entrance music, the set was the coolest thing you'd ever seen. The venues were decked out, all of that stuff. They're doing some of that still today.
Yeah.
But it's not as fresh and as new as it was when I was a kid. And I don't know if it's because I've been around for 45 years. I've seen a lot.
That's what I was going to say. At some point, what more can you do? I mean, you can say you can have a guy fly in, but hell, we've even had that. So, I mean, we're not missing on anything. It's hard to be super creative when you're only limited to a certain amount of time and room in an entrance.
Right. So some of that I equate to that would be how I save WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Go back to where it used to be. Damn sure don't play the same town 2 years in a row.
So
damn sure don't do it in an outdoor stadium in the middle of the day.
Yeah, so that's a business mistake on both ends that you think they would have learned from the first one, but now that they've done it, they got it out of the way. They learn. Hopefully they learn their lesson.
So my thing for saving WrestleMania, though, I know you're talking about the brand split, giving each night a separate set of wrestlers and kind of setting it up that way. My reasoning would be we need better creative. We need better booking around things. And not just the whole, like, well, here's Seth, here's Gunther. They're not doing anything else. Let's put them in a match. Okay, we got there eventually because of the promo that happened on Monday Night Raw between them two. I mean, by the time them two dudes were done hossing around in the ring, I'm ready to see that match.
Yeah, well, as far as in ring, I mean, it's ezy to put a match in, but this ain't AEW. Right. We like to have a reason to care about the match.
But you cannot tell me that the match that Julia and Tiffany put on the SmackDown after WrestleMania, you can't tell me that didn't deserve to be on WrestleMania.
No, and I think I messaged you that and immediately after the matches. You mean to tell me those 12 minutes would have been better served on Mania? And I thought about it since I said it. 3 weeks before Mania, they ran that match kind of like a trial and it stunk. So when you see it bad, you don't want to take your, two of your competitors and say, God, they don't have a lot of chemistry, so let's stick them on Mania, right? Because now you're on the grandest stage of them all, and if you stink it up there, you may never be able to get that stink off your career. So I can understand after you see a stinker like, we don't want to do it again, but the fact that they were able to throw out a good match literally 4 days after WrestleMania, it's like, well, maybe if you would have paid a little bit more attention, you would have seen that they would have had more to give. Or not to continue on last week's show too much, but if you had to run 17 commercials every fucking hour,
that's where
you would have been able to get that match out there and let those girls go at Mania. But
that's where I'm going. Yeah. Ultimately, that's where I'm going. If you want to resurrect WrestleMania to its glory days, get rid of the damn sponsors. Look,
at the end of the day, that's the answer.
I understand. I totally understand. In this business, in this corporate world, I get it. And you got to make the money. Look, if you make the money, you can pay the talents. I get. Yeah. I totally understand. Now. But you've got to step back, and TKO, you've got to look at who your audience really is. Your audience is people who want to take their minds off of reality for a little while.
Yeah.
We are watching your product not to be sold, Cinnamon Toast Crunch and General Insurance
and everything else you could dream of.
I'm not interested in buying anything when I tune into your product. And it's funny to say, but I miss the bygone era. I miss it now.
Yeah.
I miss it.
So you don't know what you got until it's gone.
I miss it.
We talked about this privately, off tape, but the bad that we had of Vince that, that was, was the worst thing that we ever thought of it. It was protecting us, much like Kang in the Kang in the Avengers saga. It was protecting us from the bigger, badder thing that was coming down the pipe. So.
I even miss the mat having no ads on it.
Yeah, we didn't need to have a big Dodge Ram in the middle of it. That's for sure.
There are some things where it's like, in the moment, you're like, that ain't so bad. It is what it is.
Yeah, but then when you see 40 of them, it's like, okay.
It's like, and then every turnbuckle now has something.
That's why I say there's 40 ads on every ring at this point now, between the center, each corner, every turnbuckle, the video walls all around it and all that. You're literally looking at 40 ads every single match.
So look, TKO, you got two fans here, two lifelong fans that even gave this same plea to another TK.
Yeah.
To try to tell him, look.
Although we failed at that. I guess they're not trying to listen.
He didn't listen.
But
TKO,
see how their product is.
TKO, please listen. Look, these are some ideas that you guys can start pumping down the pipe for next year's WrestleMania if you want to save it. How do you resurrect it? Listen to your boys here at the Bookers Alliance. Our ideas ain't all bad here.
Well, the first problem with next year's WrestleMania is all the girls are going to be in damn trash bags. So that ain't saving WrestleMania. So,
and on that note, it is time to wrap up today's episode. We thank you for listening to today's show. Reach out on our social media platforms. Drop us a line. Give us your thoughts. And with that, everybody, we bid you adieu.
Peace. And Rhea Ripley, get your...
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.